Hey everyone, it's Dominic the Primetime Treasure Hunter. Thanks for coming by to check out another video. It is that time again. It's time to go over the top 10 most expensive and most profitable items that sold in my eBay store this time for the month of March 2019. And what a great month it was. I'm looking forward to going over these items for you, giving you some tips and tricks for things that you should be on the lookout for. Because if I could find these things, you could find some of these things as well. So take some notes, get ready, put that seatbelt on, and we are going to start off with this one right here, my favorite area to cover, which is comic books. This title is one that you should pay attention to. It's The Deadly Hands of Kung Fu. Now, it is not the size of your traditional comic book. This is a bigger one. It is the size of a magazine, which is why they're called comic book magazines. If you look inside of these, you will see that they are traditionally black and white like this. I'll make it a little bigger so you can see. Now, this particular series, The Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, when you find ones that are valuable, they tend to be the ones that have Bruce Lee on them or Chuck Norris on them. I actually have one for sale right now in my eBay store with Chuck Norris on them. And I might have one left that has Bruce Lee on the cover. But this one is valuable for a reason that you would not know from the cover. See, those other ones are easy to kind of figure out because Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee are right on the cover. But this one, the reason why it's valuable, there's no evidence of it from the actual cover. And so the reason why this one's valuable, which you want to jot this down, it's issue number 22, is because inside of it, we have, and I just showed him here, this is the first appearance of a comic book superhero called the Jack of Hearts. And this is him right here. In fact, I could probably zoom up on him a little bit better in this picture. So that's him right there, the Jack of Hearts. And because it's his first appearance in comic books, first appearances are generally valuable if it's a character that went on to have some notoriety and is one that comic book fans liked in some way. Now, he's not super famous. In fact, the actual condition of this book isn't the best. It's in fine condition, which is a level below very fine, which is a level below near mint. Just because there's some cover wear, I mean, not major damage to it. If you're curious and new into comic books, where the heck do you find what the issue number is? That is going to be right up here in this corner. You're going to see that right there. It says number 22. And just as a little tip, if you do have a comic book where you can't find the issue number on the front cover, just open it up, and inside, either in the front or the back, you will see the issue number written somewhere on the bottom of one of those pages. So this one, I wound up taking a best offer, sold it for $47.50. Not a bad return on investment on this at all. Had about $1 into it. So nice flip here on this one. All right, so let's move on to the second one. I've been putting up a lot of my Masters of the Universe stuff lately. So if you're interested in Masters of the Universe, check out my eBay store because I am going to continue to put more of it up. This one is Skeletor, and it is his pet, Panther. Now, this is not a complete set because it's missing a couple of things. It's missing Skeletor's vest, and in fact, I actually have Skeletor's vest right over here. So I know you can't see it super well, but I'll bring that right up to the camera. See right there, that is Skeletor's vest. And the funny thing is, I didn't even remember that I actually had this behind me, and if I would have thought it through a little bit better, I would have put that Skeletor's vest onto this one. But it still wound up selling for $50. That's the actual sale price there, because you're combining those two characters together and you know, it's not a super creative way. I mean, they naturally go together. But if you could do that, if you could find those natural pairings with the characters, it's a good idea to help them sell more, especially if you're missing some parts for the you know, for one of the characters. Now, selling points for it, though, in addition to them being paired, is that we have the sword and we have the staff with the ram's horn on it, as you could see right here. And those things tend to get lost, and so having those together, you know, helps sell it. And so The other thing that this one is missing, you could see here on Panther that there's like a little hook here, and there should be a strap that goes underneath him that holds this mounting onto him, and it's missing here. You know, that's something that also detracted from the value a little bit. Also, you can see here that Panther is a little bit scratched up, but despite all of that, despite a missing vest from Skeletor, and despite the missing strap, and even though Panther is banged up a bit, like you can even see here, he has like some black marks on him. That's because some of the purple felt has worn off of him, and there was more worn off underneath the mounting. But still, despite all of that, I mean, Masters of the Universe stuff is so hot. It sells so well that if you could find this stuff, definitely you know, pick up. If you could find them, you'll find them. You'll find them at garage sales, flea markets. Try not to pay too much for the figures. Like, you know, if you could get them in big lots that you're paying like $1 or $2 maybe per figure. If you could find the accessories like the, you know, the sword and the, you know, and the ram's horn staff, so you could sell. I just did a video on that recently. If you go into my playlist and you look at Masters of the Universe, the Masters of the Universe playlist, you'll see a whole video I did on just selling Masters of the Universe parts. For example, just the other day I just sold a little gate for the Fright Zone for Masters of the Universe. Sold a little gate for 20 bucks. So, and in fact, just today I sold a little gun that goes on the top of the Castle Grayskull. It's a turret gun. Sold that for $10.50 just for the turret gun. So there's a lot of money in these things. Now, this one I kind of debated with in terms of what to do. This is like the safest one that I could show you. In fact, let me flip this one over to here, which would make it a little bit even more safer to show, which is these are some Japanese adult-oriented anime movies. I showed these on the DVD unboxing that I did from the storage unit content purchase that I made. There were about 225 to 250 DVDs, and there was a subsection of them that were adult oriented. Again, these are cartoons. These are not real people. They're cartoons. But they sold very well. A lot of them sold very well. You could see this one here. It says $74.99. I took a best offer of $70 for the DVDs. Now, there are other ones that I'm not going to show here just because I don't want to, you know, put anything on there that may seem inappropriate. And so there was one DVD series, for example, that I sold for $100. There was another one that sold for $142.50, and they're all these Japanese anime cartoon adult-oriented DVD sets. Now, it's interesting. One of them I can't even show it to you if I wanted to, because eBay removed it after I sold it. Now, I still keep the sale. But eBay didn't want any record of it even existing that I had sold it on eBay, and they notified me that they had taken it down. And so basically what I have done to avoid these kind of issues, because they took down another one of my listings and said, you know, you can't have this up here, it looks too adult oriented. Even though there was no nudity in it that was shown, it was still deemed as too adult content for the main site. And so I moved all of that over to the adult section of eBay. Now that has negative consequences to it, because not as many people will go search for these types of things in the adult only area of eBay. And I might do a video on this topic. I'm just trying to figure out a way to do it and still be able to show you some stuff but not break any kind of rules in terms of what I'm displaying, and still trying to keep this a, you know, pretty family oriented and family fun type of channel. But just so you know, this stuff is out there, sells very well. And like you see here, you know, a 4 DVD set that I actually put together, I believe. These didn't come in a slipcase. I just found these for in the storage unit, put them together. They're all the same title, this Yoritsuki Doji. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but anyway, sold very well, 70 bucks. All right, moving forwards, back into comic books. I've talked about this comic book series before. It's another one to be on the lookout for, especially if you could find them in multiples. This is East of West. It is a science fiction slash Western combo, which sounds kind of strange, but that's one of the reasons why it sells well. It's very well done. It's combining two popular genres that normally don't go together. But you could see here, there's a lot of consecutive issues. So you could see here, we go 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. People who collect comics love that because it's a consecutive storyline that you could show. Now here, down here, we have, let me move that cursor there because it gets in the way, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So that is all consecutive, and that's a big selling point for this, is to have a #1 issue. I got this out of a big comic book collection haul that I made. So I really have like pennies into this. When I say pennies, I mean like 15, 20 cents an issue into it. Wound up selling this for $84.99, which is the price that you see there. I don't believe that I took a best offer on this one. If I did, it might have been just a little bit lower, like maybe $79.99 or something like that, but it wasn't much taken off of this one. Okay, now this one here, this one is also adult oriented, and the way I decided to show this is not show in big screen the actual picture that is in miniaturized version there. Basically, it's a partially nude picture. It is a woman, model, brunette. Angela Malini is her name. She's a famous model. She's overlooking the water by the beach, and she has like a short mini skirt on, and some of her is showing, which is covered up by that black spot there. Now, it came with a certificate of authenticity, and really the main point of showing you this is that I want you to pay attention to the artist's name, which is John Yule. Now, even if you don't want to sell, like for example, a photo like this, if it's not your type of thing, there are, I just actually sold recently a book of John Yule photo art. If you look up John Yule, you'll find him. He's on Wikipedia. He's a famous photographer, but he's famous for photographing models and photographing nudes, and his work is considered art. It is highly sought after. Some of his pieces sell for hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So, it just depends on what you have. This was a limited to 50 edition set. You're probably wondering where the heck I found this. I found this at a home where I did a private estate sale pick. We were mostly comic books, but the person was also into this type of art, and so this is how I acquired a lot of these art pieces. So I just scooped all of them up for a great low price, and this one wound up selling for $100. So it took a best offer of $100. But again, some of John Yule's art could really go for a pretty penny. All right, moving on. Speaking of art, I got this at the same location that I got the other piece. This is, in fact, I showed this in my last video. This is Tarot, Witch of the Black Rose, who is originally drawn by Jim Ballant. This is a comic book character, but this one here is actually drawn probably by request by George Perez. George Perez, a famous comic book artist, typically draws DC characters like Wonder Woman. So you could see there's his signature right down below. And hallmark George Perez type of art, and you can see it better here, is that you see all these like little sketchings here, pencil sketchings, and then it's overlaid with the marker. He does a lot of that. That's his classic signature right there. This wound up being a birthday present for somebody, and it wound up, I took a best offer of $117.50. The person had initially offered $80, I declined it, then offered $100, and then we met in the middle at $117.50. So any art, original art that you ever find, or any signatures, by the way, by George Perez, signed comic books by George Perez, go for huge amounts of money. I mean, so that's definitely a name you want to be on the lookout for, is George Perez. All right, moving on. The famous Snake Mountain. You've seen me display this many times in my video. I finally decided to put one of them up. This one here is mostly complete. What it's missing is, and this is, if you watched my video yesterday, I showed a Snake Mountain in terms of refurbishing it and making the microphone work again by cleaning one of the battery terminals. And one of the things that I had forgotten, I mentioned that there was another piece missing in that one. It's often missing. There are these little handcuff kind of shackles that come out of the top of the Snake Mountain area here. You can see like there are these little holes here. They kind of stick out. They're these little shackles. They're very hard to find, and they are not included in this set. You can see I have the ladder here. This is missing from the Snake Mountain that I posted last night or the day before that. I sold this one here. It does work. The microphone does work. This is the microphone right over here. It is Wolf's Head. This one wound up selling for $125, went off to Canada. I initially had it listed at $149.99. I believe I was offered $100 and we met in the middle at $125. So I currently have one up right now, as I described in my video last night, for $149.99 again. There's a bridge here. You could see here now one piece of the bridge is missing. This piece here slots into another part of the bridge. And they connect right into Snake Mountain there. So one part is missing. Now the one that I have right now for sale has both pieces of the bridge together, but it's missing the ladder. So, you know, give or take, there's some parts missing here that are present in the one that I have, and vice versa. That's up for sale right now. So if you are interested in a Snake Mountain that works, I do have one up right now, like I said, for $150 in my eBay store. Links to my eBay store are down below in the description section if you want to check out any of the items that I have listed there. Now, speaking of Masters of the Universe, I told you that I am putting a lot of my items up, and this is one that is near and dear to me. If you go to my Masters of the Universe action figure review video, where I go over the top 10 action figures that sell for Masters of the Universe, this one cracked the top 10. This is Scareglow. And I actually have the comic book that went with Scareglow right there. And so each one of these characters came with a comic book in the back of the case that the figure originally came in. And they featured the character. In fact, I could show you over here. Now that's him glowing in the dark. That's why he's called Scareglow. That's one of the reasons he's valuable, is because he does cool things like glowing in the dark. He's also rare. He is hard to find. Let me see. I could show you the comic book. There's the date. If you're wondering, by the way, where you can find a date on these figures, they are almost always on the back right above the waist area. Now, sometimes you may have to peel something up to get to it. Like there might be a vest here that overlays that, and you might have to peel it up to look, but that's where they typically are, is in that area. This is it right here. And so you can see here, it is a little mini comic book. There's Scareglow right there. There's Fakor, and there's He-Man back there, and there's King Randor. So that's probably Fisto right there. But anyway, that's the Sorceress. So these little mini comic books are awesome. It might look a little bigger than it really is in actuality. Like this is the size of them right here. I have a bunch of them actually right next to me. And these are actually, if you're wondering, I've said this before, but if you're new, this is what got me hooked into comic books, are these little mini ones. When I was in about the 3rd grade and my parents bought me my first He-Man figure, and opened it up and one of these comics was in the back, and I actually got hooked on not only Masters of the Universe, but also got hooked on comic books. So it was double my fun for that one. Now this character sometimes comes with a darker green weapon, and sometimes he comes with this one here, which is this glow in the dark one. Now the darker green one is more valuable. Prices on him are going to entirely depend on whether or not he has his purple cape, which will shoot the value up to about the $265 range if you have one of the weapons. But as he stands here without the green weapon, with the white weapon, the glow-in-the-dark one, which by the way is called a halberd. That's a term you would want to know and put in your keywords, because people will search for that. So without him having the cape and without him having the green halberd, having this one, he went for 150. Sold in less than 24 hours. Just negotiated a little bit back and forth, and you know, this was a really, really good quick purchase. And the same thing, by the way, with this Snake Mountain, sold in less than 24 hours for 125. So I'm telling you, this stuff flies. Master Universe flies. All right. Next one. This is our second to last one. This is the Horseshoe Company based clothes ringer. This was a big, heavy item. Wound up taking a best offer, negotiating a price of $175 for it. After shipping and fees, I wound up netting a profit of $125. I literally had nothing into it because I had obtained my money back from the Got Junk Guy collection. I've talked about that in many other videos before, so I'm not going to rehash it here. But this was just one thing that was just kind of tossed in with it. It still works. It's great. It has a really big, long handle on the side of it. And you've got to be really, really careful packing these things up. It was very challenging to find a box that would meet the size specifications for this. But I was able to pull it off and send it. You know, if you can take these handles off, I would highly advise doing that if it's not going to break the handle trying to take it off, ironically, because you want to prevent it from getting broken while shipping it. But we tried to initially try to take this off, and it was just on there for so long that we felt, as we were trying to pull it, me and Mrs. Primetime, that it was going to bust off, and so we just decided to take our chances with it, and fortunately was able to get it in a box, packed up, shipped out, and for a reasonable price. It wound up going to Oklahoma, so hope it lives a long, happy life over there. And the last one, drum roll please, we started off with a comic book, and we are gonna end off with a comic book right here. This was the top sale in my eBay store for the month of March. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 238. Now, this is a very, very important issue, and there's several things you need to know about it in terms of why it's valuable. And if you ever come across it, there's something you really, really need to know, insider tip to look for, that's going to tell you whether or not this dramatically shot up in value for you. Now, the number one thing you need to know is that this is the first appearance of the Hobgoblin. Very famous character, this guy right here with the orange cowl. Just showed up a ton fighting Spider-Man, especially in the 1980s. I mean, he was just in so many issues, just such a big, popular enemy that just showed up just again, time and time again. But this is also in very good condition. I shouldn't even have used the term actually very good condition, because that's a comic term, is very good. He's actually in near mint condition. Very good. Actually, there is a comic term called very good for grading, which actually means, ironically, that it's not in good condition. So I was speaking too colloquial there. That is a near mint condition book. That's one of the reasons that it's valuable. Another reason, it's first appearance of the Hobgoblin. But despite all those things, and all those things are great, the thing that shoots this up in value is right over here. By the way, before I get to that, what I advise, if you find these first appearance issues of characters, is that you show that in your picture. So you can see here, I'm showing, hey, this is the first appearance of the Hobgoblin right there. Or like at the Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, remember? I'm showing the first appearance of Jack of Hearts. Don't just show the cover. Show the actual character inside making the first appearance. I'm telling you, that helps sell these things. Especially if you could get a nice bright picture like that, that just sells it right there. But, all right, I've dragged this on long enough. Right here, in this white flap at the back of the book, it's the very back, these are tattoos. You see it says Lakeside Tattoos, and this is the other side of it right there. Inside of this little card or flap are little tattoos. Now they're very difficult to see. Like, you have to kind of like almost shine it or feel kind of inside of it, but they're in there. And if they're in there, that is the main factor that jumps the value up of the book, because a lot of people remove this card or they remove the tattoos. So people want this complete near mint condition with the tattoos, first appearance of the Hobgoblin, and that, folks, will land you. That's how you get $200 out of a comic book, and that's what we ultimately went with here, which was $199.99. And I wound up selling it by doing an offer to buyers. I had like 16 watchers on this thing, and they were all watching, waiting to see if I was going to lower the price. So I finally just said, you know what, it's time for this thing to move. And I just sent out an offer to all of the watchers, and I said, this offer is being sent out to all 19 of you right now. And here's the offer, $199.99. Whichever one of you take it first gets it. Act fast, because this is going to go quickly, and literally within minutes it sold for $200. So that's what you have to do sometimes to get people to, like I say, get off the pot and stop sitting and take some action. And so sometimes you got to push that a little bit, and that's how you could do it with offers to watchers. I recently did an updated video on offers to watchers, so you could check that out. In fact, I'll probably link to it at the end of this video. You could also just find it as one of my recent videos where I did that. So I hope that you found all these tips and bolos, be on the lookout items, helpful. Again, you might not necessarily find some of these exact things, but the whole point of doing this is just to give you ideas, get you thinking, give you suggestions. You may come across these. I mean, I've sold this book several times and found it in several different collections. So, you know, if you buy enough comic collections, it's going to show up eventually in there. So, you know, hopefully you got some good ideas with the Masters of the Universe stuff. I guarantee you, go to enough garage sales, flea markets, rummage sales, estate sales this year, and you are going to find these Masters of the Universe items. Programming note. Do not miss, I have Don the Auction Professor coming this Wednesday night for an interview. I am super pumped up. Don is one of the most knowledgeable guys in the industry, and I cannot wait to have him on. You are going to learn so much. Just definitely make sure Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come on by for that. The other thing I want you to know is that it is warming up. Even though here in Syracuse we actually had snow here this morning, April 1st, but this weekend should be good. This is now in April where sourcing is going to start opening up again. It's going to be much more broad in terms of garage sales and rummage sales, and there'll be more estate sales. It's just, things are going to start getting crazy, so you will start to see more haul videos from me. I know people love those. It's the #1 thing people like to see, are haul videos, and so I am definitely going to be out there again getting more stuff. So just want to make sure you are aware of that, and hope you like the new video and the new lighting. The last video I only had one light shining on me. This one I have two. So let me know what you think of the lighting as well, if you're noticing any improvements there. And that being said, that's the end of this video. I will see you all at the next one. Make sure you hit the like button if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe. Pass this video on to others who you think might benefit from these tips. Come by to the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. That's my Facebook group, almost 8,000 people. The link is down below. We do this event called Support That Seller Sunday, and I am very happy to announce that one of our sellers, Leslie Cooper Wiley, she made over $500 in sales during that event from all the sellers in that group being called to go over to our store, buy things. 33 sales, over 20 some odd packages. I mean, it was awesome. We have the picture up and everything. You could also see that picture at my Instagram account. That's at prime_time_treasure. See everyone at the next video, everyone. Take care.